evening, ladies and gentlemen, muchachos y muchachas. We are back on Miami Total Football Radio, the number one Inter Miami focused podcast, brought to you by some seasoned reporters on the ground here in South Florida, giving you all your Inter Miami news, analysis, opinions, inside information, general punditry, and much, much more, as you can see. And if you're listening to this after the fact, as you will be able to see later, or as you'll be able to hear later, is Jose Armando, a.k.a. Island Jose, a.k.a. Cinco, and myself, yours truly, Franco Panizo, your two co-hosts this week. No Akisita, no Andrea Llanes. She is tending to her mother, your mother-in-law, right, Jose? Your mother-in-law's in town for her usual visit to South Florida from Honduras. So Andrea is busy. I think it's the last night she's in town, right? She leaves tomorrow?
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
That is correct.
And look at you. I'm taking you away from your son-in-law duties to be on the podcast. So thank you, Jose. Even though you were late, as Thomas here in the comment section says, you guys are always late. He says, y'all are late like always. This one was not my fault, but we are on Miami time. So, we'll stick to that being the reason. Miami time. Speaking of moms, Jose, my mom impromptu stopped by, uninvited, before the show, and she brought me some tallarines a la huancaína. So very nice little Peruvian plate here. I'm not going to make a habit of eating on the pod because I'm sure it's not a pretty sight, but I will have some in honor of my mom who stopped by to give me some food earlier. So thanks, Mom. Love you. I'm going to try to not eat too much of this on the show if I can. But anyway, Jose, how are you? How's it going? It's been a couple weeks since we've last had a pod. How's everything been?
Yeah, we had the FIFA window. So yeah, I mean, I think we're getting into the stretch where FIFA dates are no longer a problem for Inter Miami. The October window, there's no MLS games going on in that stretch, and the November window as well. I think that's I don't think I know that's when the playoffs will be in full swing, and as usual for MLS, there's always a little bit of a break there. But other than that, it should be smooth sailing from here until the end of the regular season for Inter Miami. I'm sure we'll talk about it.
Oh man, he's already jinxed it. We haven't even gotten 4 minutes into this episode of Miami Football. I can't even roll the tongue. Radio, but Jose's already throwing jinxes. Okay, we'll talk about the supporter shield race for Inter Miami. It's looking good. It's looking pretty good. We'll talk about the most recent game against the Philadelphia Union. We'll talk about this midweek match against Atlanta United. Tank721 says, what jersey are you wearing, Jose? People want to know.
Motagua. This is a Motagua jersey. I think, no, this is not. I have so many Motagua jerseys, but this is just one of my favorites. Funny story about this. It is signed by one of them, but you can barely see it over here. But it is signed by one player, a former Fort Lauderdale Strikers player, by the way. He actually signed it here in Fort Lauderdale. I've had this for a while now. I remember wearing this jersey to high school, and everybody loved this jersey.
So this is when Jose was a fan, because now Jose's a reporter. Jose would never ask for signatures, especially after the tweet you put out on Saturday night.
No, he signed it when I was around 16 years old. Yeah, 16 years old. So it's been a while.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I'm just telling you. I mean, I had it when I was in high school, and I used to wear it to high school, and everybody loved the jersey. So, and to this day, when I wear it, I still get people asking me where can I get one, and I'm like, nah, it's gonna be hard to get one.
Throwback.
Yeah, it is a throwback. Yeah.
Throwback. Tank721 says the huancaína sauce wouldn't let the tongue roll. Accurate. It's spicy. It's pretty good though. Thanks, Mom, once again. All right, Jose. So we've got quite a bit to talk about. We, of course, have to start with the return of Lionel Messi. Now, before we went on to the international break, which, by the way, I went before the international break, but I went to Las Vegas, and I went to Ecuador. Saw Peru lose in Ecuador, but visited Ecuador for the first time, which was nice. Their food, so-so. Ceviche peruano, mejor que ceviche ecuatoriano, pero lejos. Ecuadorian ceviche wasn't bad, but the Peruvian one, far and away better. They put tomatoes in it.
What else did you try?
Oh, they have a lot of different don't know, like bready, different types of foods.
But you go to like you go to a restaurant and you ask for the authentic Ecuadorian food. What
Yeah,
is
of
your approach
course.
there?
And I travel, I have to eat whatever the authentic food is
Right,
local.
but
There was a lot of Peruvian food, there was a lot of Colombian food, but I made sure to try. Uh, they had empanadas de verde. There was a lot
but
of
do you
different things.
make the decision, or
I mean,
you make the decision, or you let somebody else recommend you something and then you
no,
go
I
there?
mean, I look it up. I search. I say, all right, what am I going to eat in this country? Okay, what are the typical dishes? I had one in cebollado, which I did not like at all. I had it in two different places. Did not like that at all.
Is that meat?
No, it's fish.
Fish.
It's like a fish soup, but it
Okay.
wasn't good. I didn't like that. Ceviche wasn't bad. Ceviche wasn't bad. Food was okay. It was not great. Wasn't terrible. I'd say it was average to slightly below average in Ecuador.
Right.
But that's just my palate. That's just my palate. Anyway, before that, I went to Las Vegas. I will dispel the rumors now, although there are none, that I was not invited. Well, actually, I guess this would be true, but David Beckham was also in Las Vegas with his family when I was in Las Vegas for Labor Day weekend. But no, I wasn't covering doing some investigative reporting, and no, I wasn't partying with David Beckham at Hakkasan at the MGM Grand. Unfortunately, if he did party there, he did not invite me. So, but I had a good couple weeks. We're back in the flow of things for the stretch run. There's another international break coming up in October, but we will try to get back into consistent flow here on Miami Total
We
Football
have to. I
Radio,
mean, we have
the
to.
show. We have to, especially now that Messi's back, because that's where I was going with all this. Messi is back on the field for Inter Miami. He scores 2 goals. He gets an assist. He is the star of the show
Right.
in his return match as Inter Miami defeats the Philadelphia Union 3-1 at home at Chase Stadium on Saturday. Jose, let's just start with Messi. The good, the goals. The bad, the haircut. But we'll leave that for later. Focusing on the field. Focusing on the product.
About the haircut. I haven't
What?
heard a thing about the haircut.
How have you not
Until
heard
you
about the
tweeted
haircut?
it out.
Brother, are you like, do you not follow South American accounts? Do you not follow the haircut? I was going to leave it for later, man, because, I was trying to start with the show with some serious topics here. But look at that thing. Look at that thing. Is that like, do you consider that to be a good skin fade? How many barbers could do better than that, South Florida, with one eye closed?
I don't have any hair, so for me, it's just I'm in survival mode constantly. So if I see hair on top of that head, I think he's doing perfectly fine.
No, but I mean, it's a fade. It's a fade, bro. Look at that. What is going on there? What is going on there?
Well, compared to my fade, and I would rather have that one. I don't have a.
But you don't have a fade. But even
I
still,
have a fade in the wrong place. That's the problem.
Messi, he's got top-notch security. He's got top-notch everything. He could do better than that in South Florida. There's a lot of good barbers. If he doesn't know one, I'll recommend him a couple because there's plenty of good ones. Plenty of good ones. Anyway, focusing on what was very good for him was his on-the-field exploits, especially from like the 15th or 20th minute on. Jose, what do you think of Messi's return for Inter Miami?
Well, I think he wasn't sharp, but we always expect Messi to be sharp, but he wasn't. He wasn't at his best, and obviously it's going to take some time for him to get back into the rhythm. I do believe he'll get there. I was a little bit surprised that he played the full 90, to be honest, because I thought the approach in the second half for Tata was just not ideal, and other than, just letting him play and letting him make the decision whether he wants to continue or not on the field, I thought that actually put him in harm's way, because making those long runs in counterattack situations, when he was tired already, he said it in the post-match interview that, he felt the humidity, and I just don't think that was the right decision. Fortunately for Tata, it seems like he's fine, and we'll see what happens tomorrow in training. We'll see if he's available for Wednesday. But I just can't say that he didn't perform, because he did score 2 goals and completed an assist.
Hizo la diferencia. He made the difference, right? He did what he was supposed to do in the final third, scoring goals, creating goals. He had a hand. He was involved in every goal. So in that part, he fulfilled his role. I agree with you, though, that he wasn't at his sharpest, especially in the first 20 minutes or so. He had that one very nice pass out to the left to Diego Gomez, if I'm not mistaken. But besides that, in the first 20 minutes, he didn't make great plays. Like, he lost the ball, was stripped of the ball, didn't get by his defenders. It wasn't his best shot. I even tweeted it out. And, of course, the huge fan base that Messi has were very quick to correct me or try to correct me once Messi scored the equalizer for Inter Miami, because Inter Miami trailed in this one. And listen, hey, that's fine. It's welcome. It's welcome. But like I said on Twitter, what Messi did from the 23rd minute on doesn't erase in terms of what happened, in the previous 22 minutes, right? Like, does it overshadow it maybe if you're doing an analysis? Sure, because again, over the course of the 90 minutes, he was better than he wasn't, right? He was more good than he was bad. But in the first 20 or so minutes, you could tell he was getting his feet under him. He was trying to get back to the flow of the game, the rhythm, trying to find his football again. But once he got going, of course, Inter Miami got going, and then it was, I won't say smooth sailing, but they did play better once he got that first goal. From that goal all the way through the end of the first half, Inter Miami was in control. First 20 minutes or so, they were not. But once again, Messi got going, the team got going, and the second half things changed. You've touched on some of the stuff that happened there. We will dive into that in more detail. It was a good return for Messi. He's up. He was already named to the team of the week for MLS. Probably will win player of the week, as he tends to do when he has these types of performances. But it was a good return for him. A nice first match back as he worked his way back into things during this stretch run. Another opportunity on Wednesday, albeit, it's turf field in Atlanta. I know Tata last year said, they didn't hold him out from the game in Atlanta because of any injury or this and that. We'll see. We'll see, because he is coming off an ankle injury. It is turf. Maybe Messi, under normal circumstances, if he had played this game 5 months ago, he would play. But given, the context, el panorama, right, that he's coming off this ankle injury, maybe you don't want to risk him there on Wednesday. But we'll see. We know Messi likes to play, and he loves to play. Went 90, like you said. So odds are more likely that he does play, but we'll see what decision Inter Miami's medical staff decides. Yeah. Post it. What did you think about Inter Miami's performance in this one, right? We talked about Messi. What did you think about Inter Miami as a whole?
Yeah, I kept thinking about it after the game. It's a little bit conflicting to me because I can't say it was a good performance, but I don't want to blame the players. I think this one is on Tata. I think the approach in the second half was just not the right thing to do. If we learn one thing from this game, it's that, Inter Miami, they need to have the ball. They are a possession-based team, especially with Suarez and Messi on the field. They need to have the ball. They just can't be a team that sits back, They need to be a team that defends with the ball. And with that, opportunities will come. And yes, they did score a late goal here. And yeah, it was a combination between Messi and Suarez. But if you look at the overall of the game, you look at the performance, for, I would say maybe 35 or 40 minutes of the second half, Inter Miami, and they were playing at home, they were not dictating the tempo of the game. They didn't have a lot of opportunities. I just don't think that's the way Inter Miami should play. That's not the style of that this team should be playing.
So let's listen to what Tata said, because I have my opinions and my thoughts here, but let's listen to what Tata said regarding playing more defensive in that second half and the reasons why he made that decision.
Los dos todo el partido, bueno, a ver, en la medida que pasaba el partido era el riesgo que podíamos correr si no manejábamos la pelota. Y creo que la gran diferencia entre, no todo el primer tiempo, entre los últimos 30 minutos del primer tiempo al resto del partido es que nosotros manejamos mucho y bien la pelota. En el entretiempo hablé con ellos y les decía, este partido se gana sosteniendo solamente la pelota. Y no pudimos hacerlo con la misma efectividad que lo habíamos hecho en el primer tiempo. Y entonces cada vez nos fuimos más atrás. Y después ya veíamos el partido con la necesidad de tomar recaudos defensivos y no tomar riesgos que a lo mejor nos hubieran dado la posibilidad de atacar mejor. Pero bueno, había que inclinarse por una de las dos cosas.
Jose, do you like the answer? Whether you like the response or not, I was really nerding out on his back-to-back responses in the press conference right there at the Martino, because he goes into some real specific detail as to why he made the decision. But, some coaches try to be vague about it, but there he went into a lot of specific detail. If you don't speak Spanish, don't understand Spanish. He said, the key for the team was to be good with the ball, be good in possession. And that's what they did from, he said, the 15th minute on to the end of the first half. They weren't good in possession in the first 15, and then in the second half, he chalked it up in part to fatigue after the international break. Players like Diego, he didn't say this part, and not in that answer, but Diego Gomez was one player that came back from international duty with Paraguay, who was tired, couldn't keep the intensity level just due to exhaustion. So he chalked up the second half to tired legs and them not being able to keep the ball. So at that point, it was either make attacking subs or make defensive subs. He opted for the latter. He went with a more pragmatic approach, went to the back five, Sergio Busquets as the sweeper, and then playing a 5-3-2 with Messi and Suarez up top. As you noted earlier in the show, they were pretty disconnected from the rest of the group, but that's expected because neither one of them is going to put in a whole lot of defensive efforts, regardless of the score.
So you don't want them to do that, you don't want them to spend the energy playing defense when you're going to need them to win games. So, that's fair to me, at least.
But you didn't like it in the moment. You didn't like it post game. I could tell based on the questions you asked in the mix zone, which you compared to a fan fest, which you can elaborate on later if you'd like. And then speaking to you even afterwards, I don't think you liked that game plan. I don't think you liked the idea of becoming more defensive in this one.
No, I just didn't like it because, I think you're not that type of team. Inter Miami is not built to be a defensive-minded team. And yes, you're going to be under pressure. That's for sure. That's going to happen at some point. But you can be under pressure for 15 and 20 minutes and then get a hold of the ball. Plus, if you look at the midfield for Inter Miami in this game, particularly in the second half, those players are capable of holding on to the ball, of slowing things down a little bit. I don't think they needed to concede possession for the entire half. And then, knowing that Diego Gomez was tired, will be tired, which is something that we heard in the mix zone as well. Knowing all that, why are you isolating Suarez and Messi at the top and putting all the pressure in the midfielders as you move Busi to the back line? They were so exposed. It's really on Philly not to at least tie this game. I think that's that if you talk to Jim Curtin, tonight, I think he'll probably tell you we should have tied that game. At least we should have came out of that game with at least a point, because the opportunity was there. There are so many few occasions within the season that you're going to see Inter Miami in a posture that we saw them in this game. Not even without Messi, without Suarez. Really, I never saw this team play so defensive minded.
And they were a bit fortunate because there was a very big blunder from Sergio Busquets when the game was still 2-1 in Inter Miami's favor late on, where he's very, very lackadaisical, far too casual with the ball inside Inter Miami's 18-yard box. He loses it, and that led to a golden opportunity for Philadelphia Union. But Drake Callender, Inter Miami's goalkeeper, makes a fantastic stop to put out that fire and keep Inter Miami ahead. And then they go on and score the third that puts the game away. Messi and Suarez combining there in the opposite end. But it could have been worse for Inter Miami. I agree that they didn't play necessarily a great game. It wasn't a rousing performance from the team. There were good moments, especially in that first half, the second part of that first half when Messi got going. But other than that, the first 15, 20 minutes of the first half, Philadelphia scored early. They were they had Inter Miami chasing their shadows because they were just finding the spaces in between the lines. And in the second half, they I wouldn't say they had the ball most, but they were the more dangerous looking team, right? Like, and it was a weird game because if you look at the stats, Inter Miami had 63% possession over the course of the 90 minutes, but they were outshot 22-9. And if you're talking about shots on target, 8-4. So Inter Miami was very, very efficient or effective in the final third with the chances that they did have. Fueron bien efectivos. But they didn't necessarily play all that well at home against the Union. And again, at this point, they're trying to get the supporter shield by any means necessary. But as Tata Martino also pointed out in his post-game press conference, they've got to be better in terms of the performance levels. That he can't just analyze the game from those 25, 30 minutes where they played well in the first half and then forget about everything else. He's looking at the bigger picture, and there is room to grow for Inter Miami in that regard. I mean, we can talk about longer term, what the 5-man backline can do for this team. If it's really a suitable option or not, I think it's going to be, whether we agree or disagree with Tata Martino's take. I think, it's clear that he's gone to it when he's felt the need to do so. And I think in certain circumstances in the playoffs, we are going to see it. Will they be able to hold on as they did in this one? I mean, that's,
I don't know if we're going to see it on the playoffs, to be honest. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure of that.
I think we're seeing it in the playoffs, man.
If they hold on to first place and they end up winning the supporter shield, they're going to play at home for the entirety of the playoffs.
Yeah, but if they're up 2-1 in a elimination game,
I see what you're saying. Right? Yes. I see what you're saying. I agree with you. I was thinking about starting a game with a back five.
No, listen. As long as the most of the players that are healthy right now are healthy, I think it's going to be the 4-3-3. I think that's pretty clear. 5-3-2 or 5-2-3, however whatever formation they want to throw out there. I think you can see that in game, depending on the circumstance, depending on the situation, like we did in this one. Whether we agree or not, because I know a lot of people hate the back five.
Yeah.
A lot of fans dislike it big time. I understand Tata Martino's reasoning. I don't know if I agree with it. I think you can defend without dropping to a back five. He also talked about wanting to have more numbers back there to help trying to clog the wings and clog the crosses and things of that nature. This is something that you touched on earlier, and I would like to also nerd out into the comments, really dive into the nitty-gritty from Tata Martino when he talked about why Messi and Suarez both went the 90 minutes. Because you and I have talked about this a good bit this year. There's been times where you have said he looks absolutely gassed, and I agree with that. And when I say he, I mean Suarez. He looks absolutely gassed. He looks like he's on fumes, but he tends to stay in more often than not. And Tata Martino was asked about why that was the case in this game. He gave a bigger response, which I think sheds light into the overall reasoning why we see it consistently. So let's listen to that, and we'll dive into more of that topic.
Los dos todo el partido porque estaban bien para terminar el partido. Y un poco no debería decirle esto yo, pero un poco la respuesta a su pregunta es quiénes participaron del tercer gol. Ahora, claro, usted también me podría decir, y si nos empatan, ¿por qué los dejaste?
Hold on. I had to stop it for one reason. And that's because I was just fascinated again by his response here, the level of detail he gives. But his smirk early on when he's answering the question is as if to say, well, I got it right. I got it right. So why are you questioning it if I got it right? But he does so in a very diplomatic way, in a very pleasant way. But you can kind of see how he smirks, and then how he says, if you don't speak Spanish, he goes about saying that, if they had tied the game, then you would ask me, why I left them on. But look who combined for the third goal for us at the end of the match. And he says it with like this smirk on his face. He even goes on to say in that clip, which is longer, which we'll play in full here, and I won't interrupt it, but he goes and say, I shouldn't tell you this, right? He says that to the media member, right? He says, I shouldn't tell you this, But yeah, look who combined on the third goal. So Tata clearly was saying, and really clearly felt that he got it right. Which, look, I mean, if you base it on the results, he got it right, absolutely. But we can dive into why that might not work long term. But anyway, I just wanted to dive into that. Pay attention to his mannerism, his facial expressions here as he answers, especially if you understand Spanish.
Los dos todo el partido porque estaban bien para terminar el partido. Y un poco no debería decirle esto yo, pero un poco la respuesta a su pregunta es quiénes participaron del tercer gol. Ahora, claro, usted también me podría decir, y si nos empatan, ¿por qué los dejaste? Pero no, digo que esa sería la pregunta. Pero la realidad es que es muy difícil sacar jugadores que son tan desequilibrantes porque aparecen y resuelven en cualquier momento. Entonces, estaban bien los dos y los dos 90 minutos. No, pero nosotros ahora estamos para correr riesgo. Miren, nos quedamos sin centrales para el miércoles. Así que en la posición que estábamos y todo lo que tenemos por delante, el riesgo hay que correrlo. Es decir, ya no tenemos la obligación de pensar en los playoffs porque ya lo hemos conseguido. Ahora tenemos que ir en los logros que se puedan dar en el corto plazo. Y los riesgos, no digo que desmedidamente, pero los riesgos los vamos a correr.
Jose, as a fellow football nerd, diving into all of that, his expressions, his mannerisms, all the little comments that he said in between of everything, reading between the lines. I mean, to me, it's clear, and I've said this to you for weeks now. Again, whether you or I agree or disagree, I've been saying this for weeks, and I'm holding a grape here. Mom also brought me grapes. He says, it's difficult to take off two players that are so desequilibrante, which are so, what's the word for desequilibrante? Dynamic, not really, but difference makers, players that can unlock a defense, right? And that's why it's difficult for him to take them off. Like that's reading into it from a bigger picture. He says it more specifically, more on a more micro level, but if you look at it at a more macro level, I think that's just why you don't see Suarez come off, even in games where he looks exhausted. Because I've told you, Tata clearly trusts Suarez in big moments to, even if he's exhausted, but if he gets a 1/2 chance or even of a quarter of a chance, a 1/10 of a chance, he believes that Suarez will be able to score that goal that can help make the difference, where maybe he doesn't see the same thing from Campana. Maybe he thinks Campana gave you more effort, more energy, but maybe he isn't going to be that difference maker, ese jugador desequilibrante that Luis Suarez can't be.
Yeah, but we have seen that as well in situations where he doesn't need a difference maker on the field. He just needs somebody else to help out a little bit more defensively, and at the same time, he can take care of Luis Suarez, to extend his career a little bit longer. There have been situations where Inter Miami is leading by 2 goals, and you don't necessarily need another goal there. You can bring on Campana, and he can help you out a little bit. I think it's a different situation in this game in particular because they were leading 2-1, and yes, the third goal ended up being insurance. But I don't agree also with the last part of the answer from Tata, in which he's like, okay, we're gonna take risks now. Why? Why are you taking risks now? The supporter shield is pretty much at sight. It's not imperative for Luis Suarez and Messi to play for them to win the supporter shield. They have been able to win. They have proven that they can win games without them. So I don't know if this is the time. If you're
confused, Jose. I'm confused. You're saying why is he saying he's taking risks when you just said you didn't like that they went to a back 5 and defending and not taking that many risks?
No, because I feel like if you were to take one of the 2 out, which in this case should be Suarez, to be honest, if you take Suarez out, then you don't have to go to a 5-man backline. You can be a little bit more dynamic with the ball in the middle. Bring another midfielder in. Bring Benja in and have him hold on to the ball a little bit longer. Make combinations in the middle of the field.
Benja's not that way you control the game.
You can't control the game like that. I think this team just can't allow any opposition in MLS.
Diego Alonso would disagree with you because I remember one of the comments he made in 2020 when he was Inter Miami's inaugural head coach was that he said, "Tú puedes controlar un partido sin la pelota." Very Uruguayan style of traditional Uruguayan style of thinking. Like you can control the game without the ball. Which, hey, listen, football is about philosophies, it's about ideas. Not everyone shares the same ideas.
Inter Miami in 2020, I can see that, but in 2024, no. I mean, this team is too good for them to, I mean, look at the standings. Look where's Philly in terms of points, and look where's Inter Miami. Look at the gap, and you're telling me there's probably if I'm not mistaken, a 30-point differential between the two teams, and you're telling me that the team with 60 points is gonna lay back and wait for to see if the 30-point team is effective or not in that given night. Nah, it shouldn't be that way.
I understand your point. I understand Tata's point, and it's not. And I don't want to straddle the fence and not pick a side here because again, football's about opinions. Football's about just thoughts, approaches. I get why this isn't a video game, right? Players get tired and they can't run anymore. They can't run as much. So you want fresh legs out there. But I also understand why in Major League Soccer, where clearly the quality of Messi and Suarez is far beyond what most MLS teams have, especially on the defensive side, why even if they're fatigued, you might leave them on. Now, in this game, as you saw from Tata's smirk, it paid off, right? It worked out. He got it right because they combined for the goal. Now, could they have easily, if you analyze the game, could they have easily given up an equalizer earlier? Absolutely. Absolutely. As Tommy in the comment section says, if Philly had good finishers, Miami could have lost the match, right? Not analyzing the game. They could have lost it, but they didn't. They held on. So from a result standpoint, and the way it played out in the end with the two combining for a goal, Tata, it worked out for Tata. Now, the Columbus Crew game, right, that game that they lost, where they were up on the road and they gave up those goals in that stretch, and they were, they ended up losing and that was the Leagues Cup game, right?
Leagues Cup, yes.
Even in that game, right, and we talked about Suarez needing to come off and Tata not getting it right there. Even in that game, Suarez had a half chance. He just didn't capitalize on it, right? Like if you remember, he had a chance to level the game late on, and he didn't, and Inter Miami ended up losing. More often than not, you would bet Suarez to put that away. And that's where Tata's thought process, I think, comes from.
Right.
More often than not, they are going to get their chances, and they will put those away, and that's why he doesn't take them off. Well, even if it might be a detriment to the defensive side of things, right? Puede resentir el equipo defensivamente, but he takes that risk. He takes that gamble because of what they can offer you in the attacking end, and we saw that in this game.
Look, I don't. In particular in this game, I don't have a problem with Tata leaving Messi and Suarez if he was to give them opportunities to score. But the way the team was set up, the only way that Suarez would get a chance, a clear-cut chance, it was in a counterattack situation. And we know how those go for Suarez at this point in his career. He's not going to win those 1v1 situations. So, okay, leave them on, but give them a chance. Don't have them run up and down the field or chasing balls.
Well, they don't do much running, brother. They just stay up there, up top.
That's a lot for them. Whatever they do, chasing a ball that is a 20% chance of them getting to it, I don't think that's ideal. I'd rather have Suarez running around and chasing when he has an opportunity to have an impact in the game. But those long balls between two center backs, you're just making Suarez run for nothing. And that's the reality, at this point in his career. So I think you can leave them on, especially in a situation when you only have a 1-goal lead, but give them a chance, have somebody else around them.
Tank721 agrees with you, I think, to an extent. Says that could really hurt us in the playoffs. Suarez could become a big liability to end matches. I understand the thought process. I understand your rationale as well, right? Because if you have two players just hovering around by the midfield line while you have 8 players, your other 8 field players, just trying to defend. I mean, it's difficult, right? It's difficult. You want as many players to defend as possible. Normally, you can at least get 9 of the 10 field players, aside from the striker. Normally, right? We're talking normal formation, general formation. Normally, you get 9 out of the 10 field players to defend. One more player not defending. It doesn't sound like a lot, but it does prove to be a lot, especially when the ball's in motion and you're chasing around and you're trying to stay compact. And guys, it does make a difference. So I understand your point, but I also see Tata Martino understand the gamble. Look, Tata Martino va a ser exitoso con su manera o va a morir por su ley, right? He's going to live by the sword or die by the sword. There's no two ways about it. He's going to stick with the guys that he trusts, which is clearly the Cuatro Fantásticos, the Fantastic Four. He's going to have them on the field for as much as possible in every game that he deems. And, whether they win or lose, he's going to go with that approach. That's clear to me. I don't see Campana, getting a whole lot of playing time the rest of the way, especially if Suarez stays healthy, even late on in matches, unless the match is blown wide open. Or unless Suarez just completely, shows he can't go at all. Something like that. Because I think, again, Tata Martino has it clear. He trusts these guys in big moments to manage situations and to potentially put together some game-changing or decisive goals. So I think that's what we're going to see going forward. Jose, before we switch gears, one more thing that happened, or 2 more things that happened in this match, a big development, especially looking forward, is that David Martinez and Noah Allen both suffered injuries. For David Martinez, it was an adductor injury. For Noah Allen, looked to have been like a concussion. We haven't gotten an official diagnosis from the team, but it looks like it was a concussion. He fell pretty awkwardly, pretty ugly, actually, very concerning. He tried to play on. He was tended to by the medical staff. He tried to play on and then just couldn't, and ended up going back down to the ground and had to be tended to again, had to be removed. That obviously has implications for Wednesday, but just about this game in specific, Inter Miami getting the job done after, losing 2 center backs, because David Martinez goes down in the first half. Noah Allen comes in pretty quickly, barely got to warm up. Like he was going to go warm up, and they just had him do a quick little sprint by the bench and then gave him the jersey, and he was on the field. He had a very good game. Then he gets injured on a collision with Drake Callender while trying to make a defensive play. And now you lose 2, even though we don't consider Noah Allen a center back. Tata Martino clearly has this year.
Yes.
You lose 2 center backs, depleting you further. Tata Martino, in one of the clips that I played, says now we're left with no center backs for Wednesday, which, again, we'll talk about in terms of what's next. But looking back, how big of a loss was that for Inter Miami in this game? Because they had to get creative back there. I think it's another reason why that back 5, Tata Martino might have gone to that back 5.
Yeah, well, I think he had a clear choice for me, which, it's Ian Frey. I would play Ian Frey.
He's not left-footed, though. He's not left-footed.
Yeah, but look what happened in the second half. When Noah comes out, where did Toto go? He went to the left side.
But that was just not at that point. That's just out of sheer necessity, because it's clear that Tata wants to have players playing to their preferred foot, right? Estén bien perfilados. Right center back is right-footed, left center back is left-footed. Like, that's clear, right? Because in this one, like you said, David Martinez comes out. Who is a more natural center back? I mean, in our opinions, maybe not in Tata's opinion. In our opinion, Ian Frey is the more natural center back. Even though he's played right back this year, in his past, he has played center back. That is his more natural position.
Right.
Noah Allen has played center back this year, but his more natural position has been left back, right? All the same, this year, it's been Noah Allen who's been kind of next man up in emergency situations when some of the starting center backs have gone down. And because one of the reasons for that, well, Tata clearly likes that he can pass the ball out of the back, despite his lack of height. And that he's left-footed, right? He plays that left center back position. David Martinez came out. Noah Allen was the next one up instead of Ian Frey. And I think clearly it's because of, he wants them bien perfilados. He wants them in their preferred foot posture.
Which leads me to believe, by the way, that Franco Negri might have an opportunity then on Wednesday as a center back. Because, if you look at Ryan Saylor, Sergi Christoph, and Ian Frey, They are both. All three of them are right-footed, right? Yeah. So, but who knows? Maybe Christoph is a little bit more. He has a lot of experience, so maybe he has played on that side and feels comfortable with it. But I think the center back situation it's rather complicated at this point because we don't know exactly what's going on with Sergei Christoph, to be honest. Ryan Saylor did play with Inter Miami too and scored a goal, by the way. And he did play the full 90, which is
Buen dato, Jose. Buen dato. Good stat to bring up
why,
Inter Miami too. You like that? Well informed.
why,
Look, I'm not even being sarcastic.
why did they play him 90 minutes when they know they are going to need him on Wednesday? It's crazy to me. Crazy. But they did, and he scored. So, he should be with good momentum coming into the game if he ends up being, the right guy for Tata Martino, which he could look some other way because, as we know, Ryan Saylor is not necessarily his favorite. But it is a complicated situation.
When he says in the press conference, nos quedamos sin centrales para el miércoles, rough translation, we were left without any center backs for Wednesday. I mean, you could read into that a few different ways. You could read into that saying, we're short on center back options after whatever we put on as starters because we don't have depth. Or you can read that as him saying, we're out of center backs. We have no more center backs that could play on Wednesday, that they're going to have to get creative. They are going to have to get creative. And that's where we're going now to transition into Wednesday night's game at Atlanta United at the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. That's the biggest talking point, I guess, again, aside from Messi's availability, whether he plays or not, although, again, I expect that he would or that he will. What do they do at the back? Who are your center back options here? Is it going to be a back four? Is it going to be a back five? It's clearly not going to be Tata Martino's preferred option. It's not even going to be his second preferred option, not even maybe his third preferred option. He's going to have to get creative because not only did David Martinez and Noah Allen suffer injuries that are likely ruling them out, can't imagine that either one plays in Wednesday's game. But Sergio Busquets, Toto Aviles were also given yellow cards that rule them out of the midweek match. It's a big conundrum for Tata Martino in terms of who he puts where. Although I guess the answer could be straightforward. It could be straightforward because you have Ryan Saylor, you have Sergio Christoph, you have Ian Frey, you have some options there. What do you think Tata Martino does?
I have no idea what he's going to do, but
Se inventa cualquier cosa.
Right, he will. He might come up with something like really weird. Like I don't know, maybe playing Redondo as a center back, something like that. I think that that Ian Frey will play. I think Ian Frey plays.
It's a fair shout
as a center back. I don't think they go with a five-man backline. I don't think they have enough to do it. And I think Ryan Saylor will play. I think they will go Ian Frey and Ryan Saylor.
over Sergio Christoph.
Yes, because I don't know what the deal is with him. Excuse me.
We don't know what the deal is with you. What happened there, my friend? Some pixie dust? What happened?
I don't know what's going on with him.
Bless you.
Thank you. I don't know what's going on with him because he was not available this weekend, and actually that's one of the biggest questions coming in. I mean, probably only for me, but coming into training tomorrow, I might be the only one looking for Christoph. Is he there? Is he available for this team? Everybody's gonna care about Messi whether he plays or not. But we need to know what's going on. It was if it was just a technical decision that leaving him out of the squad, which it would be weird, really. I mean, there must be something going on with him.
I feel like with Sergio Christoph, it's never really been said, but I think he clearly suffers from some health issue, right? It's not allowing him to stay on the field. I mean, he wasn't going to be a top choice here anyway once they got the center backs that they wanted in. But he's come out of games, and then they talk about migraines or headaches, and then other times he's just not even been on the bench, and
Right.
Clearly, he's not
Could be
a
something like that. Yeah.
preferred option by Tata Martino. But even when in moments where you think he would be on the bench, he hasn't been on the bench. So it's going to be interesting. I agree. I think it's a great question for Tata Martino tomorrow. I've got my questions lined up. I don't want to say any of them right now
I
because
hate to disappoint you, but we're not talking to Tata.
that's right. We're not speaking to Tata. We're not
Yes.
speaking to Tata. When it's a 2-game or 3-game and 7-day stretch, he doesn't. It's all right. We can still get the question in.
Yes.
We can still get the question in. Javi Morales is still a football mind. He'll shed some insight. I'm not going to say what the question is. I don't want the PR team, if they're listening, to prepare them for the question. I know they're in here. I know you guys are in here somewhere. I know they're in here. I see you guys. I know you guys don't leave any comments in the comment section.
He'll be ready.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to say what the question is, but there are some questions that can kind of give us some insight into what they might be doing. If I'm going to guess based off of Monday night, no availability aside from Saturday night's postgame. Back four, Cello and Jordi Alba, of course, are your fullbacks. I think you see Ian Frey as the right center back. The left center back is tricky, man.
Yeah, it's very tricky.
Very tricky.
I just went with Sailor. I'm going to give you my thought process.
No Franco Negri. Franco Negri out of contention. He's left-footed.
I know. I like the idea of Franco Negri, that's for sure. But I went with Sailor just because he played the 90 and he scored. So I feel like Tata.
That's some great rationale there, Jose.
Tata will want to reward Sailor for that.
You really think Tata's big into rewarding people for playing with the second team? Look, I think Tata's more about staying to his style, the build out of the back, the possession. Who gives you the best opportunity at that while also being able to defend competently? I think what makes most sense, although this might not be what we see because Tata could have a trick up his sleeves, Ian Frey, Sergi Christoph as your center back options. That's what makes most sense. You don't have a clear left-footed center back there. No tienes un jugador perfilado, which again clearly is Tata's preference. A left-footed player for that left center back position, but they're bare thin here. They're bare thin. There's really no left center back option, left-footed center back option for that left center back spot in this one. So at that point, you're just gonna have to put 2 right-footed center backs out there. What makes most sense, in my opinion, is Frey and Christoph. That's just what makes most sense to me. You're gonna lose some pace there, but again, you're bare bones right now. Bare bones at center back. Does this open the door? Because a lot of people, I've already seen a lot in the comment, haven't really been able to highlight it. Does this open the door for Yannick Bright in that midfield?
Yes, absolutely. He'll start. That's for sure. Yeah, I think he's going to take Boussy's place. I do believe that he can provide a spark, but I think he needs to be particularly good with moving the ball this time around because you have Messi on the field. So you just can't get away with the short pass. You need to help Messi get it in the right position for him to have an impact in the game. If you're giving the ball to Messi in the middle of the field, this is not the Messi of 10, 15 years ago where he could just take over the rest of the team, even though it's MLS. But I think you still want to set up Messi closer to the box, similar to what we saw in the third goal against Philly over the weekend. So for that, Yannick Bright he needs to be effective. He needs to be better with the ball.
He's going to have a good game, especially defensively. Inter Miami is going to survive this one, given that they're depleted at the back. So let's go. Lineup prediction here.
Okay.
I've already said the back four. Drake Callender obviously starts in goal. I mean, you agree with the back four? No, you said Ryan Sailor, but the rest of the back four you think is going to be Frey, Cello, Jordi Alba. All right, midfield 3. Who's in that midfield? Yannick Bright as the 6. Who plays ahead of him?
Yeah, I think Diego Gomez and Fede Redondo, they continue to, I think they have been consistent. Although, you know what? I wouldn't be shocked if Redondo gets a break. And maybe Benja gets to to start. I think Benja needs to start. If you are going to rely on him to end games, to close out games in the playoffs and later in the season as you try to secure the Supporter Shield, you're going to need him.
He just re-signed a new deal today. It was announced today that Benjamin Kremasky has signed a new deal with Inter Miami. It runs through, also give me the facts, 2027?
2027 with an option to 28. Club option.
2027 with options for 2028. A lot of talk in the press release again about the academy and how he's an inspiration to the next kids, etc., etc., etc. But yeah. I mean, we could see a rotation, sure. So I think if there is a rotation, I think that's why you could see Benjamin Kremasky start more so than the fact that, he needs to start so that if they're going to count on him, like I don't agree with that you said, but I think Tata's going to ride his horses, man. I think Yannick Bright, Fede Redondo, and Diego Gomez. I think ellos van a ser los interiores with Yannick Bright behind it. Up top, we both think Messi starts, yes?
I think Messi starts, yes.
All right. Does Luis Suarez start on short rest with another game on the weekend?
I don't think Luis Suarez starts. I mean, you look. I don't think he should start, but I think it all comes down to Messi as well. It's kind of weird to have Messi on the field and not Suarez when Suarez is available. But I would think the right thing to do is to play Campana and Messi. I think Messi needs to play. I think he needs to play. Whether it's on turf, that could be a different conversation.
And who's on the left wing? Julian Gressel.
Julian Gressel. Yeah, I mean, then again, we go into.
Or you can put Julian Gressel in the midfield, Diego Gomez on the wing.
Right. No, I think Julian Gressel will start. I mean, I think we all know that by now. But here's the situation. I think it's similar to what I was just talking about Suarez. I think if you're going to learn something from the previous game, especially now that you're going on the road and you are trying to play the counterattack game, then I don't think Julian Gressel is the right player for that.
But I don't think they're going to try to play counterattack. I think they're going to try to, as best as possible, be the same team that they are.
No,
try to be that.
I'm saying if that happens within the game, let's say they get a lead, early in the second half, they're trying to close out the game. They are vulnerable in the back. They might go for the counterattack game. I think, the right player to have on the field at that point could be Robert Taylor. So, but, then again, this could be a situation for the second half.
Right. We're talking about start. We're talking about start.
Right. No, I think Julian Gressel will start.
I agree that Gressel will start, but I will change what I said earlier. Gressel will go to that midfield spot. Diego Gomez will go onto the left wing. That will be the team that I imagine as well.
No, that's a very good idea.
Because Diego Gomez has shown some things on the wing too. When he's made those diagonal runs, as he saw the diagonales. I think, with Messi trying to pick out some passes, I think that could be part of the game plan where Messi kind of maybe drifts out on the wing, draws some attention. Diego Gomez makes those runs off the back shoulder, like we've seen him do on a couple of occasions, at least this year, and try to hit those passes. And I think that's what we will see. But again, it all comes down really to the center back position, what Tata decides there. Because if he decides to go 5 at the back, which I don't know how you go 5 at the back when you don't have that many center back options, then I think we'll see a surprise. But that's my prediction for the team. Skrilla says Messi will not play. He just played 90 minutes and he said he was tired. I highlight that comment only because I went to Atlanta. I covered the game in Atlanta last year. I had some buddies in Atlanta as well, so I visited them. But I wanted to cover that game. That was the game that Messi did not play. If he doesn't play again in Atlanta, and I know it's not going to be a sold-out house like, maybe it would have been last year, but if he doesn't play again for the second straight year in Atlanta, I mean, that would be a story. That would be a story. Atlanta fans would be like, oh, we're paying money to go see these games. And I could already see that happen. I could already see that happening. And again, Inter Miami's under no obligation to play Messi because whatever city they're in, but I could see that happen.
I just think he needs the minutes, I think he needs to play. And that's the thing. Yeah, he was tired after the game, but, rest assured that Messi He's
How do
not
we know
gonna
he was
kill
tired, Jose? Tell me how we know he was tired, because we haven't spoken to him in over a year.
That's true, but he spoke to Apple after the game, and that's the only way we know this stuff.
Apple, who helped pay his deal, right? So
Right.
there's a vested interest there.
Just rest assured that Messi, is not going to kill himself in training. So, I mean, he had Monday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday until they travel. So that's 3 days of rest. He should be fine. He should be fine.
Well, let's listen to Julian Gressel on Messi from this past weekend's game, because Gressel's not making the decisions, although Jose might make a joke that he is, or he has some sway with Tata. But I think if you take into consideration everything, yes, there is short rest. Yes, there is another game that they do have to travel for this weekend. But I think, especially with Messi, I think there's a good chance that he starts.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice. It's nice to see him coming back, being as effective as he was before. I think he's obviously happy that he's back. You can see that in his joy, and it's nice to see him connect right away with Luis, with Jordi on goals. That is just, it's great, and having him firing and having him playing like that, and just right from the start, where we have a few more games in the regular season before the playoffs start to kind of get him up to full speed, where he's going to be really in rhythm and 100%. When the playoffs roll around is good to see, and him doing the things he does best, and scoring goals, assisting is exactly what we need.
There it is. Like we said, getting him back to full speed, getting him back to his rhythm. Like we said, the first 20 minutes or so against the Union weren't great. He's got to find his footing again. Yes, it's a short turnaround. There's another game on the weekend. You don't want to overload him, but it's Messi. He tends to be able to go the distance or play a lot when he is healthy. So, yeah, I fully expect he starts. Jose, does Inter Miami win? Very quickly, yes or no?
No, I don't think they win this game. I think it's a draw. Yeah.
Okay. I agree. I think they draw this one, which makes things a little bit more interesting in terms of the Supporter Shield race, which is how we're going to finish the show, because these are the latest standings. Inter Miami is on 62 points through 28 games. They have 6 left in the year. Next closest is the LA Galaxy, 55 points through 29 games played. So Inter Miami has a game in hand and already a 7-point advantage. If they draw on Wednesday, then obviously that gives them another point. But they should still be the favorites, right? Like, even if they don't win on Wednesday. Looking at this, I mean, let's see. Cincinnati has played the same amount of games as Inter Miami, but they're 10 points behind. Columbus has played one less game than Inter Miami. They're 12 points behind. LAFC, 1 game less than Inter Miami. They are 14 points behind. I mean, Jose, anything can happen in sports, but should Inter Miami already be planning the Supporter Shield celebration? It's not going to be a parade, but should they be planning the Supporter Shield celebration at Chase Stadium for the end of the season? The regular season ends at Chase Stadium for Inter Miami. Should they be planning that Supporter Shield celebration as of right now?
No, I wouldn't do that. And I don't see Tata agreeing.
Behind the scenes, man, Tata Martino's not going to be like, yes, we need to do this. But behind the scenes, the front office, the marketing department, it's got to be getting ready, man. They've got to be doing it, bro. They have to be doing it. They have to be bringing. It might be a jinx. It might be whatever you want to call it. Look at the standings, man. Look at the standings.
My football soul will tell me, don't do it. Don't do it. You're gonna jinx the whole thing,
dude. They are in such a healthy position. They would literally have to.
Yes.
They would literally have to lose most of the remaining games
especially with the opposition that they have coming up. I mean, there's no way. There's no way they collapse.
So then you agree that they,
No, but they shouldn't start no celebrations, because the only way that they could collapse is if they start the plan of celebrations.
Tank 721 says they should serve choripans to everyone off the Supporter Shield.
That would be interesting, because
Un asado with the Supporter Shield in the background.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I'll tell you what. I was looking at the schedule, and I lost it here on my phone, but they could secure this at home. They have back-to-back road games. They'll be in New York City over the weekend, and then on September 28th, they will play Charlotte at Chase Stadium. I think that would be ideal, but for that, I think they have to win both games, unless something else happens with LAFC. With LA Galaxy. If they ended up losing both of the next two matches, then things might get a little bit easier. But they might do it against Charlotte. I think that's obviously a winnable game for Inter Miami, and they can secure the Supporters Shield at that point, and they can do it at home, which it will be ideal because as we all know, they had a chance to win Open Cup last year and they couldn't at home. So I think that's a moment that in the Messi era of Inter Miami, that's something that fans are waiting for, right? To have a celebration at home, win something at home.
If they win that Supporter Shield, again, MLS Cup's the ultimate goal, right? If they win Supporter Shield but not MLS Cup, then this is not deemed a success.
That doesn't change anything. If they win the Supporter Shield and they don't win MLS Cup, the season is an absolute failure. There's no doubt about it. Yes.
If they win the Supporter Shield, though, not talking longer term, just talking for in the moment. What does that mean? What does that mean for Inter Miami?
Short term?
Like, what does it mean in the immediate moment that they win the Supporter
Shield?
Shield?
You're playing at home in the playoffs. That's it. You're playing at home. For the entirety of the playoffs.
Yeah, you can add that trophy as one of the ones you added to the trophy cabinet. You have it.
Nah, that means absolutely nothing. That means absolutely nothing. It's something to celebrate in the now, but it will be similar to winning a preseason tournament. It means absolutely nothing.
Kala with a good point there. A Club World Cup berth could be on the line. They haven't decided yet.
They will give that to them no matter what. They will find a way no matter what. So, don't lose sleep thinking, oh my God, if we collapse and don't win the Supporter Shield, we're not going to the Club World Cup. If you're an Inter Miami fan, stay away from that thought. Because Inter Miami, if Messi plays in this team next year, they will be in the Club World Cup.
Ya comenzando con if he will play again next year. Bro, Lionel Messi is playing next year.
Things could happen. I don't know.
No. You've said before that you think he's going to retire. That's your prediction. It's your crazy prediction. No way, bro. He's going to be on the team next year. 100%. Sign it, stamp it.
Well, then...
Put up la huancaína on it if you want.
There's no chicken in that, is it?
No. I had some chicken with it on a different plate, but I'm not trying to eat on the show. I just wanted to show off.
I was just concerned about having chicken for dinner.
Straight carbohydrates. No. There was some protein. Inter Miami is going to be given that berth one way or the other, and it's going to look like it's going to be through the Supporter Shield route because, they're in very very good spot to win that.
Look, they're just going to wait until the end of the season. Then if Inter Miami wins the Supporter Shield and they win MLS Cup, then, they will come out and say, well, they're obviously the better team in 2024, so they deserve this. And if not, then they would just hand it because of whatever they win. And if they don't win, they're still going to get it. No worries. Don't worry about it, Miami. Or for Lauderdale, I should say. How about coming home? That thing... Are you as a Fort Lauderdale guy? Although sometimes you claim to be a Miami guy, but as a Fort Lauderdale guy, how did you feel when Inter Miami said we're coming home? When they announced the stadium,
it's fine. They're Inter Miami, right?
But they should be as the South Florida team. Again,
they are the South Florida team, but Miami is where they've always wanted to call their home. It's just they always wanted to be based there, at least for regular season matches. I don't have a problem with it. I can see why some people or some fans might feel like it's isolating them from it.
A little bit, yeah.
But
for some fans,
it's Inter Miami. It's Inter Miami,
and it has always been Inter Miami, to be honest.
So, very quickly. Did you see, I don't know if you were, on son-in-law duties today, did you see the Baptist Health injury update today?
Yeah.
What the hell was that?
Just letting us know that it was a muscular injury, but no timetable, no nothing else.
Here it is, guys. Here
Yeah,
it is
I
on my
saw it,
phone.
I saw it.
It says, Inter Miami CF today has provided an injury update presented by Baptist Health for defender David Martinez. Martinez has suffered a right adductor strain and will be assessed as he recovers, determining his return to play timetable. That's a lot of words, man. It's a lot of words to say. We're not telling you what
All
his...
that really matters is that Baptist Health is mentioned in that post. You know, so we know the drill. We're actually demanding from Baptist Health, not from Inter Miami, that they need to put a little bit more sugar into the cookie. You know, they need to be a little bit more explicit so that more people will actually go and click those links and see your name at the injury report. Because if not, then people are not going to care. So Baptist Health is on you. Ball's on your side, on your court.
Hopefully there's a football nerd on the Baptist Health, I don't know, sponsorship team,
like,
corporate
guys,
sponsor.
People are not logging in. This is not enough. You need to put a little bit more substance into this.
We're not generating enough clicks. Come on, guys. Yeah, I mean, it's just a long way of saying we're not telling you his timetable for recovery. It's a long way of saying that.
Which is not good news. No.
Which, right, clearly they know, but it's not. It's going to be some substantial. I won't say substantial. It's clearly going to be not a very quick thing. It's not going to be like a 1 week thing, right? It looks like it's going to be longer than that. Noah Allen, we haven't even gotten a Baptist Health report. Hopefully, our best wishes to Noah Allen, because it didn't look good. It didn't look good, but our best wishes to Noah Allen.
He's still under the concussion protocol. I mean, he should be.
He should be, but we don't know, because again, they didn't tell us much there, right? That was asked.
It should be 48 hours.
But that was asked on Saturday. That was asked on Saturday if he would enter. Noah Allen would enter the concussion protocol. He said he kind of said, didn't say directly yes, kind of said possibly.
I mean, I don't know that Tata knows the concussion protocol.
I mean, he's familiar with like the overall process in MLS. So I'm sure he knows something. I'm not sure saying he knows all the exact details, but he knows going in and coming out of it, I'm sure. So again, best wishes to Noah Allen. Hopefully it's a speedy recovery. It looks like it's a concussion, but maybe we'll learn more tomorrow.
And if that's the case, he probably is out for the next 2 games, correct?
Surely. I mean, again, neither one of those two I expect to see this week in either of the 2 remaining games. Yep. But all right, we will leave it there. It's going to be tough to come back for another show this week after this midweek match and before Saturday's game. Friday nights are usually not a great night for us.
Because you party. I'm here working Friday night, and I log into my Instagram, and there Franco goes partying since 7 p.m. until late. And I'm waiting for him to record the podcast for you guys, and he's partying.
You're going to see the Baptist Health injury update hungover out for this weekend's coverage. No. It's just difficult on Friday. I know a lot of people don't tune in either. A lot of people are out, enjoying their weekend. So tougher for us. I won't promise a show again this week, but we will be back early next week. I promise that. And we will make good. And I promise we will also be on time next week. Isn't that right, Jose?
I'm always on time.
Isn't that right? Yes. But yes, we'll be back next week. We'll recap both of the games that will take place. Again, Wednesday night against Atlanta United, on Saturday on the road against New York City FC. All right, so we will leave it there for this week's show. So for Jose Armando, I am Franco Panizo. You have been listening or watching Miami Total Futbol Radio, the show. We will talk to you guys again next week.